Hi, welcome back to Plan 9 Crunch. I'm Joe Gibson, and today I'm going to take a look at the monster times. Recently, we had Doug Gibson show you a bit of famous monsters of filmland. That was from, I believe that issue was 1975. This one appears to be 1972. And we appreciate that we both got these as a gift from Jack Sinope in his travails. In any case, this one's quite interesting. The Monster Times, Godzilla King of the Monsters, page 3, King Kong Comics with a alliteration of 3 Ks, page 20, King Kong Meets the Giant Bug, page 10, and also up here, you can see Batman for President, page 6. I don't know if I'd support Batman. I don't know enough about his policies. The League of Assassins might pose some interesting foreign complications to things. I don't know if... I doubt Damian Wayne was a thing yet when this was invented, so... No kid from overseas, but he has some weird ties, so let's all admit it, with the training that he undergoes. The Monster Times, Simian superhero King Kong is taken for yet another ride in this arty array featuring King Kong poster art from the original 33 ad campaign. This particular Kong pose inspired the cover of Monster Times Collector's Edition issue number 1, which was rendered by Gray Morrow, Sea of Dark Dominion, page 12. It was Kong's inability to adapt to Western civilization, as evidenced by his bout with those creaky WW1 World War I sky crates that prompted Carl Denham to pontificate. It was automation that killed the ape. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek here. Here's the art. I'm not just going to read off this for you, but it's very fragile. So I want to be very careful with it. And if that means just talking as I'm trying to find a thing to talk about, I might do that. Here's another page spread of Godzilla King of the Monsters. And it will read off a written version of the movie through page 5, and then it picks back up on the end of it. So this is about the King of the Monsters cut, which included Raymond Burr as Steve Martin, so it's going to wrap that up. It misspells some of the names. This is very early in the kaiju, I guess, translation thing. Only recently did we get the translation of the original novels. So this is in the era of fan magazines that have misidentifications of some things and some issues in terms of how they're phrasing things. This is the Monster Times, number 7, April 26th, 1972. Published every 2 weeks by the Monster Times Publishing Company. I've looked through this a couple times. I very much enjoy it. It shows awesome comics because this, though it's the Monster Times, that's going to include Universal monsters, but also they like to talk about Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Conan the Barbarian, Batman, as you saw, the Avengers. And that's because these were niches before comics were mainstream. You can think of monster fans and kaiju fans and monster kids, and comic fans as probably cut from the same cloth, though many of you in the audience have more experience and more knowledge on that subject than I do of this time period and what it was like to be a fan there. Please leave comments below on your experiences. Here's more of the, would you buy this used car from this gorilla? Sorry, it's hard to show you without everything falling out. This is sort of like a newspaper in layout as well as stability. Whoop. Okay. The cover shows off this cool art of Godzilla, but if you want to see the full image, here it is, the full picture spread. Here's a review by Jerry Conway called The Completed Werewolf and Other Stories of Fantasy and Fiction. Oh, sorry, that's the book, Anthony Boucher's book. Seems like cult fiction continues on page 27. This is page 19 right now. Publisher wanted in an ad. Author addressed to the editors. This seems like it would have been a very interesting thing to be a part of, but obviously I got to this very late. Here's a Kong comic that shows off a scantily clad woman. It's part of the appeal of those early Kong movies, I suppose. The modern Kong is more chaste. As 76 Kong tried to undress Juan, didn't he? But this is before that time anyway. Hot Prince, anyone? Bride of Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein the man. The Wolfman's right here. So like I said, it's not just kaiju stuff, but the Monster Times is inclusive of all of these monsters. There's even a Slurposaur in here. Monster Times teletype. Comic Fandom Monthly. Con calendar. Oh, okay, there's a calendar for the conventions. Very helpful back in those days. Much of this is now on the internet, but there's still message boards that take after this kind of community building. And here's the resolution to Godzilla. They spell Emiko as Emiko with a Y. Serizawa is Sarazawa. And that ripped a little bit. It's fine. I look forward to looking more through this more thoroughly. But before I close off, little gag in the back. Next issue, If I Had a Hammer. Hammer Films hits the box office bullseye every shot, and do they ever whack out movies a horror hit a week, it seems. So they're worth a special issue, we feel, devoted to the famed British Monster Factory's finest festering 5-day filming fantasias. That's a lot of alliteration there. Factory's finest festering a 5-day filming fantasias. We've got a survey of the horrors of Hammer, plus a star-rated checklisting of their more notable and noteless efforts, and a comics adaptation of Curse of the Werewolf, their best werewolf flick, and probably the best such film of all time. That's them talking, not me. I think there's many werewolf films better than Curse of the Werewolf, but we had a poll a little bit ago of which werewolves people prefer, and the werewolf of that movie did pretty well in that poll. So I enjoy this for the kaiju stuff. I also enjoy for the other monster stuff. And I hope you all enjoy this. I'm not sure where to find this if you want some yourself. But if you do have any issues of the Monster Times or famous monsters of Filmland, cherish those, hold on to them, and let us know in the comments what you think of them. In any case, thank you all for watching. This is Plan 9 Crunch on YouTube. We also have a TikTok page, Plan 9 Crunch podcast and blog on Facebook, and our traditional blog. Look at our stuff on each of those if you care to. Thank you all for watching. That's a wrap.